Alright Matt, we're going to give this a shot and show you what I'm doing here. Just run me a little slit down here about the size of the wire like I was talking to you about. See that? About the same size, that wire. That air saw works perfect for practicing, and that's about what you want your gap to be, this little air saw here. But yeah, that's about what you want your gap to be on your wire. Alright, so I'm going to tack this in about probably 3 places, and then we're going to fill them in. And then we're gonna sew that up. That may be a little too far to do a full bead penetration. That may give it a little bit too much heat, but we'll see. Alright, there you go. And let's look at the back side of that real quick. I'm going to undo this just to see how our penetration went on that. Okay, you see the back side? Get that up close. Okay, you see those little beads? That almost looks like I welded from the front side. Okay, but you just see me grind that off. Okay, so you get those little buttons that are going to pop up on the back side. That's what you want. You want those buttons to be consistent all the way across. Like you don't want your goal, in which is hard to do, but your goal is to not leave any of this gap exposed. You want literally, and that's why I grind these down, because if you don't grind those down, when you butt up next to this tack again, you'll leave a little spot. So we'll get back to this and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Trying to run me 3 or 4 tacks in a row. You always want to clip your wire. Make sure you got a fresh, you don't want this little ball on there. That ball doesn't penetrate very good. So when you start a new set like this, clip the wire. Now, all right, here we go. All right, you can see my heat ring coming out there. From here, you go ahead and take your blower, which I shouldn't have took off. All right. You can see what those look like. I'll show you the back side here in a second. You want those beads as flat as you can get them. That's less grinding for you, and that also shows better penetration. I mean, it happens. It is what it is, but that ultimately is what you're really after, is to get those as flat as you can get them. I'm gonna move this out a little bit. I put that much weight or heat underneath that on that piece of wood, and it's probably gonna set it on fire. And also you want to jump around. If you got a long piece of metal, say you're doing a quarter panel, you want to move from here and go 8, 10, 12 inches away, do another set like this, then bounce back over to here and do another set, and then bounce over somewhere else and do another set, and let this cool good. But be careful doing that, obviously. So I'm going to run from here out. And what you had is typical, very typical. When you get to this edge, it always wants to burn away. That's just the way it is. And you can go ahead and fill that in. Once you let it cool a little bit, I'll run right up to the edge, and then I'll stop, and then you can come back when it cools and just fill that edge in. It's no big deal. So that's where you want to stop. And I've got a little bit, same, just a little bit of a thing there, but I can come back and hit that. It's no big deal. Alright, so from here, I'll go ahead and knock these down, and then I'll fill that in. Alright, Matt, my camera's really screwing up, so I'm hoping this is catching this. So we're going to start, I ground this down, this row of beads. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this row of beads. That's really too far. You really only want to put 3 or 4 tacks if you're doing your panels. But this is going to be probably closer to 5 tacks. Alright, you can see there. I think you can see how I got that zoomed in pretty good, but there you go. And there's the little previous row. Then that, where I ground that away, that's where a tack was. And then of course here, and there's your little bubble on the end. So I'm going to stop there and we'll flip that over and take a look at the back side. Alright. Alright, you see those? You see how those are fairly uniform all the way up and down? Looks like I might have missed a little area there, went right off to the edge of it, but other than that, all those are little buttons on the back side. To me, that's what you're wanting. Now, like I said, I'm not a professional at this, so take what I say, like I said, with, you know, get other people's opinions, but there's what you got. That's what you're looking for on the front side. You want them as flat as possible. You don't want a big, and you want to penetrate through and get that on the back side. And they're nice little buttons. It's almost like a little mirror image, except for they're quite a bit smaller. Okay, and that's what you're after right there, man. And from there, you can go ahead and grind that flat, and then you can take and planish that out with a slapping spoon or a hammer. Actually, a hammer would probably be better. Take your dolly underneath it, and you can see it didn't. I didn't put enough heat in there to really do any warpage. It's really pretty good. But if I wanted to get it just so, you know what I mean, I'd go ahead and put a dolly underneath it and planish that out, and it'll let that metal stretch back out. And then you're going to have it, you know, about as good as you want it. Helped. And if you got any more questions, you know, you got my number. And there you go. And you just got to fiddle with your heat range and all that, and get to where you're comfortable with it. It's like driving a 4-speed. Once you get the hang of it, it's downhill from there. But just getting that initial, you know, what you need is kind of the tricky part. But once you get past it, man, you can weld anything. So, all right, buddy. See ya.